It's a huge leap from I barely noticed the animals. They're just kind of part of the backdrop. Like I knew that there are food and I also know they existed, but they're just kind of there. There's a huge leap from that to running an animal sanctuary. And I know that the starting point was Rowdy Girl, but what was the transition like? Like the kind of the self-reflection, the holding up the mirror. But I actually like to hear like from developing this special relationship with this animal to changing into vegan, to starting something. Because a lot of people could just be like, okay, I'm vegan now, but I'm just going to stay quiet about it. Like to actually making the decision to do this, to influencing your husband going forward. What's the story between falling in love with this animal to where you are today?
Yeah, that was a journey. And I went vegan 5 years after I got Rowdy Girl. So that's a 5-year journey. And it's one that started with me being, I'm always a person that observes a lot. I practice observation, and because I'm a yogini, I practice yoga. And so part of that is observation, but I wasn't vegan. I just practiced a lot of yoga, and observation was part of it. And I started observing the animals, the cows and the calves when I would feed Rowdy Girl. I literally feel like I was Alice in Wonderland in a rabbit hole, like I was in a different life when I was with her. And I began to have heightened senses. I like to liken it to, how you've seen those. I'm a vampire. I love vampire movies. Okay. And so, when a vampire transitions, they get heightened senses, right? They get real heightened senses and all this, right? And strong, and, they gotta have all these heightened senses to be a vampire. Well, you gotta have heightened senses to be an ethical vegan too, let me tell you. So that's what happened for me, is my senses began to heighten. When I was with Rowdy Girl, I could feel the heartbeat of these animals. I could feel the nuances of what they were communicating to each other. I could sense who was the babysitters. I could sense who the siblings were. Things I wouldn't normally even know, recognize, or even give a crap about began to be way up here, and I was going, whoa. I mean, and I wasn't on acid or anything. I was just going vegan and didn't know it. I didn't have anybody throwing blood on themselves or saying, go vegan. It was just Rowdy Girl. And her communication to me, when I was feeding her, she was feeding me. And she and I have a very, very close bond to this day. Like sitting right here talking to you, I can sense her. It's a heightened sense. And so over the years, I began to question my husband, why are we eating animals from the store when we have, animals here that are pasture raised? Why aren't we killing our own animals? I began to ask questions that I normally, could care less about, but I wanted to understand what we were doing. And I would leave Rowdy Girl, feeding Rowdy Girl, and I would go back and have to be a rancher's wife. I'd have to be analytical. When I was not feeding Rowdy Girl, I would see the herd of cows. I would see the herd. When I was feeding Rowdy Girl, I saw them individually. And it, we have this idea that it's just a herd of cattle. Well, no, those are individuals. And I began to see them individually. I began to name them. And I don't even know that I was naming them, or maybe they were telling me their names. I mean, it kind of felt that way. And as time went on, I just began to push my husband to uncomfortable places where he would have to answer things he didn't want to answer, like, why don't we eat our own animals? And, finally he told me, well, because I can't eat animals that I know. And when he told me that, I knew there was a problem, because, I said, so we don't eat animals we know, but we can eat animals we don't know, the same kind. And what if it's their mother or their brother or their sister? Or what if it's really them and you don't even know it?